Story 1. The Disappearance of Bobby Dunbar. I was only a young boy when my brother, Bobby Dunbar, vanished. It was 1912 and we were on a family trip at Swayze Lake, Louisiana. That day, Bobby had wandered off toward the water and my parents thought he'd be back in a minute or two. But hours passed and Bobby was nowhere to be found. My parents called out for him, and soon search parties scoured every inch of the lake and the surrounding woods. But there was no sign of him. No footprints, no clothing, nothing. My brother was simply gone. Months later, our family received news that gave us hope. There was a boy matching Bobby's description, living with a man named William Walters in Mississippi. My mother rushed there and, with a mix of desperation and relief, insisted it was her son. But Walters claimed the boy wasn't Bobby at all. He called him Bruce Anderson, the son of a woman he knew, and insisted that he was caring for him at her request. Still, the authorities didn't believe him, and Walters was arrested. Our family was allowed to bring Bobby back home. The strange thing was, this boy, whether he was Bobby or not, didn't seem to remember us. He acted like a stranger in his own home, uncomfortable with everyone, and he seemed especially uneasy around my parents. As time went on, he adjusted, and our family resumed a sort of normal life. But the question lingered. Was this boy really Bobby? It wasn't until decades later, with the invention of DNA testing, that we finally got our answer. Our family agreed to a DNA test, and the results were clear. This boy wasn't Bobby Dunbar. Whoever he was, my brother was never found, and his fate remains a mystery to this day. Story 2. The Mysterious Death of Elisa Lam. I was staying at the Cecil Hotel in Los Angeles back in 2013, the same week that Elisa Lam disappeared. I didn't know anything about her at the time. All I knew was that the hotel was strange. There was an unsettling atmosphere. The place was old, decayed in parts, with dim hallways that seemed to stretch on forever. I'd see people hanging around in the lobby who didn't seem to be guests. And then I heard a rumor that a young woman had gone missing. Days passed, and the hotel was buzzing with police and investigators. People were whispering, asking questions, and then we started noticing something even stranger. The water from the taps was discolored and tasted strange. I figured it was just some plumbing issue, but complaints grew, and management finally checked the rooftop water tanks. That's when they found her. Elisa Lam's body had been discovered inside one of the water tanks on the roof. No one knew how she got there. The tanks were locked, and the roof access was restricted. Even more bizarre was the security footage released later, showing Elisa in one of the hotel's elevators. In the footage, she looked confused and terrified, pressing buttons at random and peeking out into the hallway as if someone were following her. Theories flew around. Maybe she was hiding from someone. Maybe it was something darker, something supernatural. But the truth is, no one knows exactly how or why Elisa ended up in that tank. Her death was eventually ruled an accident, but if you ask anyone who stayed there that week, they'll tell you it didn't feel like one. And to this day, I can't shake the feeling that there was something deeply wrong in that hotel. Story 3. The Terrifying Encounter of Mary Vincent. I was only 15 when I had a brush with death. My name's Mary Vincent, and in 1978, I was hitchhiking from California to Nevada, looking for a fresh start. I was tired and restless, just a teenager hoping to escape a broken home. That's when Lawrence Singleton pulled over and offered me a ride. He looked harmless enough, a middle-aged man with a friendly face and a pickup truck. I didn't think twice before getting in. At first, everything seemed fine. We made small talk, and he seemed genuinely kind. But then he suddenly took a turn down a deserted road, and I knew something was wrong. Before I could react, he attacked me with brutal force. I fought, screamed, tried to escape, but he was too strong. Singleton dragged me out of the truck, and in a rage he did something unimaginable. He cut off both of my arms and left me to die in a canyon, miles from help. Somehow I survived. I can still remember the pain, the terror, and the feeling of my life slipping away. But I refused to die there. I pressed my severed arms against the dirt to slow the bleeding, got to my feet, and stumbled my way back to the highway, where a couple finally found me and rushed me to the hospital. The doctors saved me, but the nightmares of that night have never left. Singleton was caught and sentenced, but he only served 8 years before he was released. Even then, I was determined not to let what he did define me. I rebuilt my life, found strength in my survival, and used my voice to push for change and laws for victims of V.